This is the Braves Clubhouse Report, exclusively on 680 The Fan.
Ben Heller recalled to take his spot. Heller's a 31-year-old right-hander, spent time with the Yankees over the last couple of years. Go back to 2020 was the last time he was at a major league game. 31 career appearances for Heller, and look, they just need some fresh arms down there. I think that's the way this all boils down. You used a lot of guys the last few days. They just need somebody to give them some length out of that pen.
Yeah. I think the best scouting report for Ben Heller is warm-blooded mammal. They needed somebody out there right now. His name could have been anything, but I mean, look, you never know with those guys. If they get hot for 1 week and give you some innings, and you end up winning a championship or something, we laugh and say, "Oh, so and so got a ring." But every inning's valuable, especially this time of year where your pitching staff's thin and as it's beat up. If he can give them some valuable innings here. That'll play a big part, down the stretch with some of these other guys, yeah.
Yeah, bullpen was huge for the Braves yesterday. Kirby Yates, a scoreless sixth inning. You had Nick Anderson. He does give up the run in that eighth inning. Raisel Iglesias makes it interesting in game one, but I think the story of yesterday, not named Jesse Chavez when it comes to the bullpen, Colin McHugh. 3 scoreless innings. Matter of fact, McHugh, Jimenez, and Minter retired the final 15 batters of the game in the nightcap of yesterday's doubleheader. That's remarkable work out of your pen yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, what Colin's done here, he had a couple rough games there early on. Went on the IL, but here, kind of moved himself back to where he was the last couple of years. And that's where he's at right now. And, that performance yesterday was as big as any because, that certainly – not only won that game, but it allowed them to at least not use Tonkin yesterday. Mm-hmm. Now you're going with A.J. Smith-Shawver today with his second career start. You at least have another long guy to go with. And that's the one thing you didn't know yesterday going to that doubleheader. Where are we going to be on Thursday? Well, they're thin, but at least Tonkin was saved because McHugh was able to be that effective throughout those innings. The other thing that was huge yesterday was to see Jimenez just come back out and give him multiple innings again. For him to get – how many outs did he get? 4 or 5? Five outs. Yeah. 5 outs. And that's big because it looks like he might finally be that guy that they traded for.
He had awesome numbers last year with the Tigers, and obviously it's been a bit of a rough start for him here in an Atlanta uniform. But if they can get him figured out, and A.J. Minter seems like he's turned the corner. McHugh, you mentioned it. Anderson's been so good for you. Raisel Iglesias, more times than not, has made things relatively stress-free for you. Feel pretty good about those 5 or 6 guys we just mentioned in the back of your bullpen, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. We sat here in December, January, February, and March and said, boy, this bullpen's going to be great. And, you just never know. The bullpens you have so many ebbs and flows throughout the year. And it was a rough start to this pen, but now all of a sudden Minter's getting right, or it might be right. We could say that. The same with Jimenez. You look at Iglesias and Anderson, of course, they're – these last 2 appearances for both of them have been a little bit of a dip, but you're never going to get everything you want at one time. But It's starting to – the pen as a whole, it's I'm going to say it again, Kev. It's not like Snit is playing blackjack with just 7s and 8s.
There it is. It's your go-to line. Man, you love that line.
There are just a couple relievers from way back when that just don't really understand how to play blackjack or – whatever.
I think they made that into T-shirts.
Yeah,
they were wearing it around the clubhouse back there at Turner Field. Hey, going back to McHugh for just a minute, I want to get the thoughts of Brian Snitker. I want you to hear what Snit had to say after yesterday's game on how big McHugh came up with those 3 scoreless innings for the Braves yesterday.
Huge, right there in the second game when a lot of guys, we used a lot of guys to, try and secure the first one, and Joe too. I mean, just him going 1+ was really good. That's probably as good as he's been all year. So, he's been throwing the ball really, really well, which is huge for us. Mm-hmm. But McHugh was, that bridging that game like that was the reason we won it.
It's huge. And again, we talk about the offense where you score 16 runs in 2 games, but you don't win yesterday, especially without the work you got from Colin McHugh. Bullpen was unbelievable yesterday.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's going to be the key the rest of the year. They're still trying to get by without Max Fried and Kyle Wright. That was, those rotation numbers were really good for that first full month without him. We've seen some of the starters have some rough ones here lately. We need, they need to see what the, where the bullpen's going from here. It's going in the right direction, but that can really help if the rotation's starting to slip a little bit right now. That solidifying that bullpen, getting consistent work from them, that'll really help them.
Sign of a good team that when the pitching staff's not going well, offense can bail them out and vice versa. It's been great to see the way this team has really put it together. 42-26 going into play tonight. Best record in the National League. All right, one more from Snit, as it's hard to sweep a doubleheader. We know that, especially when you use as many relievers as you did. And here was Snit talking about the performance in yesterday's doubleheader sweep.
No, they did a great job. Great job. Because, it always stresses your pitching. But the guys, the bullpen did a really good job today. And it's good. I don't care, what it is. When you win a doubleheader, that's something, big.
Yes, it is. So you come home, happy flight back to Atlanta, Bo. Now you get your sights set on the Colorado Rockies, a team. You want to talk about the Braves being banged up? The Rockies would say, okay, hey, hold my beer. Look at our injury list coming into this one.
Yeah, no doubt. This is a team. You're going to see Kyle Freeland tonight. This is, I remember way back when, 2003 maybe, Greg Maddux. This is perfect, Greg Maddux. He Dave O'Brien was asking who's the best pitching coach in the game right now. And Maddux, of course, not ever knowing anybody's name, just said the guy with the Angels. And, that was Bud Black at the time. And just to think about what he's been able to do there in Colorado, what he's had, the struggle that he's had. This guy who's, one of the greatest pitchers of all time, thought of him as being the best pitching coach at the time. You look at like a guy like Kyle Freeland, who was on top of the world. What was that, 2018, maybe and then all of a sudden the struggles he's had since then. Seems like he's at least pointing back in the right direction a little bit. But yeah, like you said, this is a team that is really banged up right now.
Yeah, they are. No Chris Bryant, no C.J. Cron. They're without some big pieces. Charlie Blackmon is out. German Marquez had Tommy John surgery, so the list goes on and on and on. And so we'll see what the Braves can do. We'll talk more about that series coming up here in just a little while. But a 4-game home, it's been a strange schedule. You go out on the road for 3, you come back for 4, then you're back on the road to Philly and Cincinnati next week. Really strange sort of here, gone, back, gone on the road again.
Yeah, I know. It's certainly not. Again, that body clock notices it for sure because you're used to, like you said, go out on the road for 6, come back for 6, maybe out on the road for 10 and come back for whatever 6 or But yeah, the 3-3 and then all of a sudden go head out and visit 2 beautiful cities like Philadelphia and Cincinnati. That's a little tough.
Yeah, well, we'll see if at least it's on the Eastern time zone.
That's
you don't
right.
have to adjust to the Pacific time. All right, we do know Jesse Chavez is out. He's on the injured list, but I want to take you back to yesterday. He did speak to the media following Game 2, and he gave an update on his status as things move forward.
I've been better. I'm happy with the results, that's for sure. Things happen when you face a Hall of Famer and throw some things in the same place a couple of times. But no, it's fine. I mean, it's not the ideal time for it to happen with, how taxed we are down there in the bullpen 400 feet away.
Yeah, but like he said, the good news, he sounded in good spirits. Today, obviously, he goes on the IL, but you can't play short, especially in a taxed pen. You know that he's going to miss at least a few days. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this is just a 2-week stint and they can get him back better than ever.
Yeah, I mean, he's been as valuable as anybody. But, like I said, the silver lining maybe here is all of a sudden in September you're seeing him pitch great and you're saying, wonder where he would have been if he wouldn't have gotten those 2 weeks off. Because, as you know, we were talking there yesterday, and I was joking as saw him warming up in the bullpen. I said, get him in there now for Game 1 so that he can close Game 2. Right. I was only half joking.
Right.
But that's how often he's been used. And, that's how valuable he's been. And you know what? If he'd have been asked to do it, he would have said, yeah. He would have said, hold my beer, and then done it.
31 appearances, a 1.55 ERA. He has been an invaluable piece of this pen. Let me ask you before we go to break, there's been some chatter on social media. There's been some push. Jesse Chavez, an all-star? Could it I mean, I know it's tough. I know it's a long shot when you're talking about a guy who's a middle reliever with every team having to be represented. Is there any chance he might end up in Seattle when all's said and done?
Yeah, you know what? It'd be nice. It'd be nice.
A fun story,
It'd be great. it would be incredible. But yeah, I'm gonna say no. It probably won't happen, but yes, that would be sensational.
Now, I'm sure we'll see more of a push.
Let's put it this way: if it was up to Braves Nation, there'd be a good chance. I mean, some of those vote totals we saw this week. You got Arcia leading the shortstop, and Michael Harris was 7th among outfielders. That's just going to grow now.
Yeah.
Now that he's hot, you're going to see him get up into the top 5 maybe. But with Acuna, of course, leading the vote total again. I let's put it this way: I'll amend my answer. If it was up to Braves fans, yes, Jesse Chavez he can go ahead and book that flight to Seattle.
He'd be starting the game if it was up to Brave fans, and I don't think you get a lot of argument from a lot of folks around the game. All right, listen, when you and I return, we'll dive more into the early returns when it comes to the All-Star numbers, and later on, we'll give a preview of what to expect from the Rockies. It's the Braves Clubhouse Report, and we'll continue right after this here on The Fan. We continue with you on a Thursday edition of the Braves Clubhouse Report. Typically with you Wednesdays, but the Braves had a day game yesterday, so we are getting you up to speed on all things Braves on a Thursday afternoon. Chuck and Chernoff come your way at the bottom of the hour. Alongside Mark Bowman, I'm Kevin McAlpin, and Bo, we touched on this in the first segment. Early returns on the All-Star voting are back, and you've got Ronald Acuna Jr., who is leading the world in votes. Only player over 1 million votes. He leads Shohei Ohtani and others. And I think what we're seeing now is it's not just us in Atlanta taking notice. This guy's having a special MVP caliber season. We've seen some great things out of Ronald, but now nationally, you're seeing folks pick up on it. And man, he has just been a treat to watch this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we've all can say, boy, this guy's great and all this, but when you hear Chipper say it, it really just rings that much louder. And I can't remember exactly how Chipper said it, but basically, look, this is the most talented player to ever wear a Braves uniform. And I think, obviously the argument would be, would that be Chipper Jones or, Hank Aaron?
Yeah.
Or, I don't think the list is going to go any further than that. And now all of a sudden, one of those two guys is saying this, and, it's hard to argue. I mean, these are 5 legit tools. They all of a sudden he can affect a game with that arm, the legs, his bat, especially now. Look at where the strikeout rate has gone. It's gone down. Now, it's not just power that he's hurting you with the bat. This kid is as impressive as they come. I would say at this age, at this stage of his career, he's as good as anybody the game has seen. Now, will he have the greatest career in baseball history? That remains to be seen. But in terms of talent, with the power, speed, arm, if he gets better jumps in the outfield, he's almost the perfect player. That's about if you're looking to criticize him at all, it's just the jumps in the outfield.
Yeah.
But he is about as good as you can. If you were creating a player on a video game, it might be hard to create one as good as Ronald Acuna.
Yeah, it's like he's playing on rookie level and everyone else is on Hall of Fame level, the way he's going out there. And like you said, 5 tools, what he's doing, the offense steals the show, but the stolen base numbers, the way he's able to get to balls in the gap, and teams not running on him either. I think that's the big thing, respecting that arm. He didn't have that arm last year. I mean, he didn't have those jumps. He didn't have his power from his legs, and you can just tell all around, and he said it. He feels better than ever before, and it's certainly reflecting in his play here lately.
Yeah, I mean, last year, how many times you see him come up to second and he was, it was either hesitant or a little bit gimpy. You're not seeing that right now. He's playing the game that he loves without any pain, hesitance, anything, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Shohei's great. Shohei is pure entertainment. It is incredible what he can do on the mound and at the plate. I think he had a 460-foot opposite field homer last night. He does incredible things on the field.
Yeah.
And Mike Trout did incredible things. But I still sit here and say, who would you really – I mean, if you had one choice at 25 years old, and I get it, Ohtani does 2 different things for you, but you have to at least think about taking Ronald instead of Ohtani just because of what he can do, and you don't know exactly – I get it. Maybe Acuna's speed does deteriorate at some point, just like Ohtani's arm could. But it's at least an argument. It's at least, hey, there's two players in the game right now. If they were both 25 years old, who would you want?
Yeah. Ohtani 28, so Acuna's got age on his side. The other thing I think you have to be careful at, if you have Ohtani on your team and he does get hurt, you not only lose an MVP defender, but you lose a Cy Young pitcher. That's a double whammy for you. So I think that there's a lot of different ways you can go on how you determine an answer for that. And I don't know that there is a wrong answer, Ohtani or Acuna, who you're going to build a team around. Right now, if the All-Star voting ended, Bo, the Braves would have 3 starters. They would have Acuna. They would have Sean Murphy behind the plate. And how about Orlando Arcia, a guy that was the subject of a lot of Twitter controversy when he was named the opening day shortstop? It's almost like the people across the street kind of know what they're doing, isn't it, Bo?
Yeah, I mean, we can go back, I guess the big question is, why was there even competition? Why was there ever any question about whether he was going to be the starting shortstop? Just from my perspective, though, I can sit here and say that, but you can go back and read what I wrote, and I said at the end of spring training, well, then I guess I predicted Shoemake would get the most starts out of any shortstop or at the shortstop position for the Braves. So I didn't see RC as an everyday shortstop either, so I can't criticize what they were thinking in the winter, and nor did Arcia or his agent. He signed a 3-year, whatever,
$7 million
deal.
Yeah.
Sorry, they didn't think he was going to, do this either. Yeah. So credit to him. It's great to see. He's, not only is he performing extraordinary, we had a pretty good feeling what he could do with the glove. It's good to see his bat be much more consistent than it has been in the past. He had a lot of big hits for the Brewers. It just the consistency wasn't there. We've seen much more consistency with the bat. And you know what? He's an absolutely tremendous teammate. The excitement he shows in that dugout and, just the fun that he has in the clubhouse. This is, everyone said, it's going to be tough to lose Dansby. Well, Arcia has stepped in and, Dansby is a great guy. This was certainly the right move.
Yeah, no question about it. By the way, you do have a couple guys who are close at their respective positions. Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies, second at their spots. You also have Matt Olson, third among first basemen. And you also have Travis d'Arnaud playing a fraction of the games of a lot of other guys, third among National League designated hitters as far as the voting is concerned. So Braves could be very well represented during the Midsummer Classic coming up in about a month in Seattle. And all I got to say is, Bo, before we break, if folks across the street are listening, that coffee cart stand they brought up to the press box, we need to make that like a permanent thing. That was awesome.
Yeah. You know what they should do? They should even bring up like a lot more food too. Quality food.
That'd be great.
That's just a suggestion.
I'll tell you this, that coffee, I'm not a specialty coffee guy by any stretch of the imagination. I might become a specialty coffee guy if they bring that thing around a couple of more times. All right, we got one more break to squeeze in. When we return, we'll talk about the Rockies, give you a preview of the weekend series, and we'll turn it over to Chuck and Chernoff coming up next right here on The Fan.
This is the Braves Clubhouse Report, exclusively on 680 The Fan.
This week's edition of the Braves Clubhouse Report. Glad to have you with us. Glad to have Mark Bowman with us. You can read all his stuff on MLB.com, Braves.com. Follow him on Twitter at MLB Bowman. Not fake MLB Bowman. This is the real Mark Bowman joining us in studio today, right?
I don't know. Maybe. You never know.
That one's got the check mark. You don't anymore.
That's what I told him. He asked me questions. I'm like, I don't know. You're on check mark.
Yeah. I miss my check mark.
Yeah,
but it was fun.
I don't.
No, you don't?
What good did it do you?
I don't know. Made me feel better about myself.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh,
it was an ego boost, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe someday.
Why don't you just draw one by it then?
I might do that.
Make it part of your avatar.
There you go. Maybe you can help me out. We got to have a couple hours to kill between now.
Yeah, I'm good with graphics.
Oh, yeah, you are. If anybody knows how to work their way around Microsoft Paint, it's Mark Bowman. He's the best Photoshopper in the world. Hey, looking to tonight and the weekend, Colorado Rockies are in town. Not a great ball club. They're dead last in the division. But if I would have told you they're dead last behind the Arizona Diamondbacks midway through June, what would your reaction have been?
Well, I mean, that Diamondbacks team it's a lot of fun. And I've seen a Braves fan, Scott Coleman, he's been around. He lives out there in Arizona. He'll see, their comeback last night when Christian Walker had that big hit in the 8th inning. He said, 2018 Braves vibes, and I think this team kind of is probably can draw some similarities to that team. The one thing I'd say that the Diamondbacks have a lot of great speed. You got to really like their rotation. If they tinker with their bullpen and it gets better as the year goes on, it will not surprise me if they end up holding off the Dodgers. And you know what? Somewhere over these next 40 games, here we are at this point of the season, we're going to have to figure out that the Mets, the Phillies, and the Padres are all going to have to figure out who they are.
Yeah.
They got about 40 games here. You start getting into August and you're still, where they are right now. It's probably going to be over because they're not going to have that leeway that the 2021 Braves had where,
at least is over.
Oh, no. Don't do it, Matthew. Don't do it, Matthew.
For the Mets, I meant it's
I thought that was Sal.
No.
Sal's sleeping right now.
Oh. What? How do we know?
It's called Nocturnal.
Oh. It would you say nocturnal? I'm not turning to that station.
Oh.
Nocturnal.
Bo.
Is that horrible?
No, Bo.
What?
Matt, the amazing thing, you and I have children of our own. Mark does not. He has more dad jokes than you and I combined. That's the most amazing thing.
See, but the beauty of Bo is doing dad jokes before dad jokes were a thing.
That's right.
That's why I respect you, Bo. You were doing Bo jokes. Bo knows.
That's why they say I'm your daddy.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, can I give
Bo,
you
do me a favor. You're going to have to hop out now.
All right, Bo. Thanks for coming. We'll see you at the ballpark. Can I give you guys real quick my favorite thing that happened last night?
Sure.
The Braves, we know they won the doubleheader. The Mets do come back and get a walk-off win over the Yankees. They won, but they lost ground in the standings last night. Isn't that amazing?
That's so Mets. Now, the Mets tried every which way to lose that game. Runner steals home against them. They're throwing the ball around like they're, 9U traveling baseball. But then they found a way. And, good for them for having those little moments along the way that they can have some small celebrations in an otherwise forgettable season.
Yeah, well, look, I'm not ready to declare anything. I don't think you are either. I think that was all in jest, right?
No, that was making fun of Licata, whatever his name is.
You should turn on it at 2 a.m. and see what he says his name is.
I would like to, but I seem to forget because what am I doing at 2 a.m. typically? I'm sleeping like the rest of America.
I thought coming home from the bar. That was going to be my guess.
How are the ratings?
These days. Not these days. McAlpin these days, Matt is fast asleep at that point.
Yeah. No. Well, you are missing out on Taco Frank's nightly calls.
Get lost!
The beauty is the podcast is always there, but I think we exercised that enough while they were in town and while the Braves played them last time. So
hey, you know what I heard? New York is the town that never sleeps except when Licata is on.
Jeez.
Yeah, it is true. You idiot.
He is throwing bows. I love it, Mark.
Wow. How are you guys going to top that on the big program today?
I don't know if we can. I think if we lower the bar and keep your expectations low, there's a chance we succeed, and that's kind of how we've stayed in business for almost 2 decades. Just lower the bar and tell people the entertainment value is not very high.
Matt, real quick before we turn it over to you guys, your thoughts on Jesse Chavez. Obviously, tough news to hear him go on the IL, but it does sound like they dodge a bigger bullet when it comes to his health moving forward.
I think is the word funny, or is it ironic, or is it like just strange that the last 2 Brave injuries, that if you would have said at the beginning of the season, Ozuna could be hurt, Jesse Chavez could be hurt, a Braves fan wouldn't even have blinked. But the last 2 days, you're like, I need Ozuna and Chavez to be healthy.
Oh, you had an Ozuna voodoo doll at the end of April. But you were like jamming pins in it trying to get him hurt.
But now, all of a sudden, I'm like, I don't know if I can live without either guy for an extended period of time. That's how good Jesse has been. So, yes, it's a big deal because it looked like he was shot the way he went down, and that ball hit him at 99 miles an hour. So, yes, I guess all things being equal, it's okay that he'll be back in a couple of weeks.
I told Bo I had flashbacks of Charlie Morton during the World Series. It was a scary
but you know
scene.
The difference, guys? Remember that thing about Mort? Like, Mort didn't go down.
Mort struck out Altuve.
He kept pitching, and it's like...
Yes, he did.
It's like, what happened to Mort? We were at that game 1 in Houston, and I'm texting people back here like, what's going on with Mort? And they're like, they think he broke his leg. Like, what do you mean? He walked off the mound and struck out Altuve.
Yeah.
Last night, watch Chavez, I'm like, he has to be carried off. And they were struggling carrying him, by the way. That was tough to watch 2 guys try to get that one leg to get him to the dugout. So this is the only difference in the reaction of it.
Yeah, remember when Louis Avalon got carried off the field and pitched the next day?
Yes, Luis Avalon.
Wow. Freddie Gonzalez gave him a 2-pitch appearance against the Nationals.
Oh, jeez.
That's what I got for you on Luis Avalon. A 2-pitch appearance. And then I think he used the next day's starter.
Good old Louis.
Yeah. I think he's still around, by the way. I saw him, I think, last year.
He throws lefty still, right? Yeah, he's got another 5 years.
So I tell my kid, you don't have to even
Somewhere
be very
Jesse Orozco's like, I can get a lefty out.
That's exactly right. Hey, what's coming
Tony
up on
Fossis.
what's coming up on the big program today, boys?
Well, it's a Thursday. We're out at Hoots here in Madison Yards, but we'll give people a chance to win Chuck's dinner. When Chuck's on the road, that adds a little element of danger to it. So we'll give people a chance to play along with us at 3:30 today. We'll also get ready to talk about this SEC schedule. Now we know what Georgia's facing in 2024, which includes a couple of hot road trips. We'll get ready for Braves and Rockies tonight. It's going to be a hootenanny, McAlpin. Hootenanny.
It sounds like fun, man. So bring us some grub back afterwards, would you?
What's it called?
I'll be right there.
Hoots?
Hoots
remember when I called Kev about 7 or 8 years ago, and I asked him if Temple won the NIT game that night, and before he could answer, I said, "Who gives a hoot?" There's another dad joke for you.
Bo, we love you. We do. I love you dearly.
That makes one of us.
Love you dearly.
NIT, I
That's why
stress, remember?
Bo's the best follow on Twitter.
But if the
I
real
thought you
one,
said fake Mark Bowman was.
Okay, you're second.
All right. Well, I think real Bowman and I have done enough damage for one day. We'll turn it
Science.
over to Chuck and Chernoff. That's going to do it for us. Bo, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming in.
See you,
All right.
Sal.
Don't go anywhere. Chuck and Chernoff are coming up next, and we'll do it again here. Ford Leadoff Show coming up 6:05 Eastern. Braves and Rockies tonight at Truist Park.